Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host of the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing this evening? I hope you're doing well. Tonight's live stream is going to be about the job loss, the layoffs that we're having in this country. It's a lot every week, and a lot of jobs are disappearing to either AI or H-1B visa workers. And we're going to talk about our food supply a little bit. And you know how in the area that I live in, they're both kind of connected in some ways. So anyway, that's what we're going to discuss tonight. But as I'm waiting for a few people to show up, YouTube did something wonderful yesterday for me. They gave me back my Lone Wolf Prepper original channel, the original Lone Wolf Prepper channel. So if you want to check it out, I forgot to put it in the descriptions. It's anyway. They finally gave it back to me. After a year, I appealed it, and not a problem. That channel got so many strikes. It was crazy. So if you want to check that channel out, support that channel, I'd appreciate it. But, I couldn't believe it. There's so many videos I had on there. That was when I was out on the ranch up there in the Sandhills. And my God, it's like I was in a Wild Kingdom show, a wildlife refuge. Just the wildlife around the Sandhills is insane, especially where it just squirts out of the water, just squirts out of the ground. There's so much wildlife. All those shorts I had, I had some good shorts with the animals and stuff, especially that one when they were in the rut and stuff. But anyway, yeah, I'm so glad I got my other channel back. I got my subscribers back. It's like the channel, it just went away for a year. But, I heard YouTube was bringing channels back that they had canceled. So I was happy. So, like I say, that's the Lone Wolf Prepper channel, 6933, if you want to check it out. So anyway, I have some awesome. I have one more channel that's been canceled, and that got canceled not because it got any strikes, but because that was under the same email address as Lone Wolf Prepper, and that's Lone Wolf Prepper Wild Kingdom. Because when I was up there in the Sandhills on that ranch, my God, like I say, I want to go back up there and make a wildlife documentary. So anyway, but I'm glad they gave my channel back. But let's get into the subject. Anyway, job losses and our food supply. First thing, job losses. Do you realize that in America right now, we're losing almost 14,000 jobs a week? Whether they're getting rid of the jobs, or AI is taking out jobs, or H-1B visa workers. I always said this AI is going to hurt white-collar workers the most. You middle-class people that, especially if you've been in the job 20, 25 years and stuff, got a nice retirement package and stuff. They're going to get rid of you because AI, if you sit down at a desk and, at a computer and stuff where a machine, AI can take over, you're going to lose your job. If you like to get your hands dirty, you got to deal with the elements and stuff, you may not lose your job. Labor jobs, intensive, they'll try to make it easier, but you're still going to need somebody to use the shovel. I don't care how many roads you put in, you still got to eventually use a shovel. AI will, AI is a bad thing. I have many videos against AI. Like I say, I watched the Terminator in the early 80s. I didn't ever think that would come to pass. And people would look forward to it. But yeah, AI is taking a lot of jobs. 13,500, almost 14,000 jobs a week. And that's what we know about, okay? That's what they're reporting. So it's probably higher than that. This is Christmas time. Foot Locker's closing stores. You name it. All these big brands, these big name stores and stuff. And Campbell's Soups will be soon to follow. Why? That's part of the food supply issues. But yeah, Campbell's Soup's going to be losing some money. I heard their stock went down 3% on a day where every other stock went up. So, people aren't going to deal with this stuff. But job losses. The companies, a small, a boss of a small company in a small town and stuff, and knows that his business supports the town. He cares about his employees. He runs his business in a way so his employees will always have a job, and they're willing to sacrifice a little bit to make sure their employees still have a job because they know their kids. They go to school. Their kids go to school with their kids. They play in the same sports teams and everything, right? That's the difference between small town local businesses and these big box store bullshit crap. These CEOs don't care. They're never going to see you. They all live in gated communities. They don't even know you exist, except that you're going to buy their product. Better off living off TGE land and grow your own food. Yeah, and that's what I'm going to get into, the food thing. Just stick around for the whole program. Because I tell you what, when Campbell's is putting fake meat, bioengineered meat in their soups, my God. I mean, this is a science fiction movie, people, that we're living in right now. A horror science fiction. But we ain't getting to the food yet. Like I say, there's a lot to talk about in the food. And you're right. We'll get to that. But yeah, if you can feed yourself with your own stuff, you grow yourself. Anyway, we'll get it. Do it. But anyway, all these job losses. I mean, what are people going to do? They are pushing so everybody's on universal basic income. They will make 90% of the population unemployed. So we are forced to accept universal basic income, digital currency, and digital ID. Oh my God. The three evils. They're going to sit there and spoo on us. Anyway, hey, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. The channel's been growing great. I think I kind of broke YouTube the last couple of days. Like I said, I got my other channel back, my Lone Wolf Prepper channel, after a year of being canceled. And I've been enjoying the last couple of days putting shorts on, sharing what I had out there at the ranch on this channel here. By the way, back to the job losses. Can you imagine this is what you're going to do for the holidays? You're finding out you're going to get laid off even if you make it to the end of the year. How are you supposed to have a Merry Christmas like that? You know, people in this country used to look forward to, if they started a company, I wouldn't have been this type of person because I like learning something and moving on. But where you could sit there, and as long as you showed up and did your job, you had a job for 40 years. Do you think that happens? That don't happen no more. I mean, the longer you get 20 years, 25 years into a company where they're looking at replacing you with somebody younger and cheaper. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But between H-1B visa workers, the amnesty they want to give to illegal immigrants because Americans won't do those jobs, bullshit. If an American is starving, they'll eventually pick their own tomato, okay? And AI, H-1B visa workers, AI, and these illegal immigrants in this country. You're talking 100 million jobs, people. Who's going to be paying income tax? I guess they can get rid of the IRS because we won't need the IRS. The only reason we need the IRS is because we got American citizens working. So if American citizens are no longer working, I guess we don't need the IRS. Anyway, bad news, people, bad news. I hear it all the time. I mean, there's so many companies, every company, and these are major companies. Apple is laying people off. Apple, YouTube, this platform offering people compensation packages and stuff if they'll quit. You know, the one thing, the problem is, okay, I had made a video about this. There's not enough money left in the world. What I mean by that is there's not enough money that can be made by people to pay all the debt in this world. We have more debt than we got value of anything. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's every country in the world that in the West. Well, China's doing it too. But when they sit there and say debt is an asset, I never learned that in economics. That must be something new. Debt is an asset? Since when? Debt is debt until it's paid off. And if that person stops making payments, then it's definitely no longer an asset, is it? And this thing, people are running out of money. You know, there's this predatory lending that get people in debt, especially these kids. I mean, for a country to put some child or a young adult who's trying to get through school so they can get a good job and stuff, and they come out 6 figures in debt, and they really never had a job. Maybe they had a part-time job when they're going through college and try to sit there and maintain some dignity. Okay? And then let's not even talking about the 600,000 Chinese students are going to let into this country, plus all the others. But starting somebody out 6 figures in debt, well, I guess a house, that used to be a house payment, but now it's not no more, right? How are they going to make it? In student loan debt, I think is at almost 15% delinquency on the debt. Automobile repos are going up, delinquency on those loans. Why? Because nobody has enough money to pay their bills to these finance companies and stuff, right? And it wasn't just a couple weeks ago where Donald Trump, the government gave the big banks $120 billion in over a couple days so they can stay solvent? See, they can't stay solvent because people no longer have money to pay the banks back. The thing is, the rich people are getting all the money, and us poor folk don't have nothing no more. You know, we're all grown up, and we had this idea, God, I wish I had all the money in the world, right? And then when you get older, if you're smart, you realize, boy, how stupid that was. But if you're addicted to money, where you can't think straight, you don't understand why only a few people having all the money really makes the money worthless. I mean, money is where they get their power and authority. Well, they better not make sure the status quo doesn't change and that money becomes worthless. Because when it does, how are they going to pay all these people that protect them and stuff if they have nothing to offer them? All these people that are blinded by how wealthy they are going to find out how much pricks and assholes they are when they don't have that money blinding them no more. Anyway, just layoffs and layoffs and layoffs, closings and closings and closings. Every single day. You know, Tyson, they're closing a plant here in Lexington, Nebraska, which is about, 150 miles from me, I suppose. Maybe a little less. And 3,200 people being laid off. Now, Lexington isn't what you big city folks would even call a town, okay? I don't think it's under 10,000. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. I don't know. It's the town's really spread out. It's hard to determine. And I never looked at the population side, to be honest with you. But 3,200 people, let's say it's 25% of the population of that city. I mean, if it didn't have the interstate running through that city and they didn't have that interstate money, because it's a pretty big interstate intersection area, you know, like I say, the town's really spread out. You got the old part of the town, that's by Highway 30, and then, you know, the newer part of the town, like a lot of these western towns, the newer part of the towns are by where the interstate goes through. But 3,200 people losing their jobs because Tyson's closing a plant. If our population is growing and food is so expensive, these processing plants got to be making money out the ass. Why would they be closing plants? I tell you what, they want to use food as control, as a tool to take over. Everybody, when they're starving, they'll bow down to whoever has the food. They control the food. Anyway, I just don't understand it. So anyway, when people say, well, the beef herd is, the lowest it's been since 1950, and, I'll agree with that. And that the plant Tyson's closing down in Lexington is a beef plant. Well, no kidding, we're in Nebraska, right? But the cows, when they go to market, are 25% heavier than they were. Well, shit, back in the 50s, they're probably 35% heavier than they were back in the 1950s when they went to market. So that's something you need to take in consideration when you look at the number of beef that is down. And this is another thing, people, with the beef in our food. We're burning our corn in our gas tanks. Dumb. Okay, and we only got so much ground to raise cows on in this country. It's not like you can just sit there and slam a pasture full of a bunch of cows and they're going to survive. Here up in the Sandhills, Nebraska, it takes 20-some acres per cow. Per cow. And out in the high desert of Wyoming, it's 40 acres per cow. So the cow can survive. That's what it takes. Well, you can't have that many cows. You got 1,000-acre pasture, 50 cows, and then you rotate them. You have a pasture rotation stuff. But this is the deal, people. They want to put up these windmills. That takes up a lot of ground. They want to sit there and put up these solar farms on all our prime agriculture land. Why, you may ask, is it prime agriculture land? Because that's where the elements are the best to run all this new energy, right? It's also the best place to grow crops because it's the best area, best climate. And they're getting all that ground used up. That's another reason why the cattle herd is shrinking. Here in Nebraska, we don't allow wind turbines, and it's a big fight. Because, out here where they want to put them, out here what we call the Panhandle of Nebraska, which is basically eastern Wyoming, where, the wind really blows a lot and it's desolate, we don't have a lot of power in Lincoln and Omaha. We live in counties that have less than 2,000 people in it. Most of the population in Nebraska is in Lincoln and Omaha. Of course they want it because they're getting their palms buttered because of it and stuff. That's another thing that's happening, people. I've been in agriculture besides my time in the Marine Corps and the time I did electronics, my whole life. Everything from raising crops in the tractor, from being a little kid to feeding animals and milking cows and chickens and even inseminating turkeys. Yeah, artificial inseminated turkeys. Most money I ever made in agriculture before. There's a lot of money in artificial insemination these days. Everything's done in artificial insemination. Everything. And there's people that know how to do it and get certified to do it. There's good money in it. So anyway, hey, thank you for the happy Thanksgiving. Every Thanksgiving Day, I think I'm going to read George Washington's first Thanksgiving address. Anyway, I want to do something, and then I'll probably take a couple days off. Everybody needs to enjoy the weekend. We got a whole heck of a lot of hurt coming up. We need to sit there. A lot of my shorts on this channel, if you check them out, are comical humors. Something you can watch for, 30 seconds. And, some of it, I admit, the thoughts of the day, if you're pissed off, probably don't watch them. Those are to make you think. But the stuff you see with the animals and stuff, stuff to make you laugh, escape for 30 seconds and stuff. Every little bit helps. I don't believe he can read. What am I reading? Just off the cuff, buddy. Anyway, but anyway, we're talking about the food now, right? Boy, Campbell's is just like I say, I talked about them going to be laying off people because now they're putting organic or bioengineered meat in their soups. I mean, the vice president of the company went off and said he wouldn't buy it. When you make a product and you won't even buy it, yeah, it's probably time to leave the company, I would say. But he's not leaving. They're just trying to shove poison down our throat. This is why if you can get in the position where you can have a garden or a community garden, and you need to get some of the hybrid seeds are nice. I mean, I admit the sweet corn, I like the, peaches and cream and stuff, but I also have heirloom seeds for everything. Where you can put the seed in the ground, get a fruit from it, take the seed from that fruit, plant it the next year, and it'll grow. One thing about hybrid seeds, they don't do that. They'll grow. You can plant the seed, but it'll grow a plant, but it's not going to grow no fruit, or it'll be deformed, or anyway mutated. You just it's the hybrids are for one season only. But you need to get in that position. I mean, they're going to sit there and wait for eggs. Eggs will be the next thing. Heck, they'll probably wait till the next year in January to do the old egg thing. But we'll probably have another egg emergency, right? What do you think? Try to get eggs up to 10? Maybe, well, I don't know. You in the big city might have been paying $12 a dozen. For somebody who lives or I'm surrounded by food, I mean, they don't even have, it's almost the end of November. We're about to get snow. And we still have cornfields that haven't been harvested yet. Just sitting in the field, wasting away. Like during COVID, where agriculture, where they would sit there and just dump out semi-loads of milk because they couldn't process it. What kind of people do that? With all the food this country throws away, every year we could feed the homeless, all the kids in school, all the hungry. And that's just from the waste, that what we were going to waste, that the big business figured they couldn't make enough money on. We should have soup kitchens for homeless. And as long as the soup kitchen staff will work for free, everything else should be given to them, the food. All this waste. We make enough food, produce enough food in this country. Besides the stuff that we can't produce in this country, like bananas and shit like that. Or maybe you can do that in Hawaii, I don't know. But anyway, for 4 years, to feed our country for 4 years. 1 year to feed us for 4 years. Why are we paying this much for food? Like I say, you're talking to somebody, look at my shorts, my videos. I'm surrounded by food. Yeah, not processed, still on the hoof, still in the field. But you know what? I can make sure it turns into something nourishing for myself. And I just don't like the idea that we use our corn to put in our gas tanks. Because, every time the government cuts subsidies for ethanol plants close. If you need the government to give you subsidies to survive, especially if you're in a company that burns our food to make gasoline, then you shouldn't be around. If a business isn't self-sustaining, Those are the ones that should go broke. Those are the ones people should not invest money in. Anyway, yep, Campbell's Soup just trying to destroy themselves. You know, I haven't eaten fast food for a very, very long time. The last place I was eating fast food at was Kentucky Fried Chicken. And then Kentucky Fried Chicken went to that fake meat. How many years ago was that? Well, that was a long time ago. Anyway. And I said, absolutely not. I was done. Done. I won't even eat at a restaurant no more because you don't know what you're getting. Because what happens if you go through Kentucky Fried Chicken and all of a sudden you order real meat, they ain't got none left, or they ain't got the right number of pieces, so they throw some of that fake stuff in. Of course they would do that, whatever it takes to make money. They don't care. Okay, one thing about me is I'm not raising my own livestock. I am lucky. We have lockers here, small town lockers, where farmers and ranchers bring in the meat, and it goes in the back door, gets butchered, processed, packaged, put in the freezer, and sold out the front door. Yeah, places like that still exist. So the hamburger that I bought only has one cow in that hamburger, not 1,000. 1,000 cows from 10 different countries. In this vegetable stuff, I mean, I guess it's just really time to live like my parents did, live like we did when we were kids. My mom never bought jelly or vegetables or anything you could grow in the garden, or we had mulberry trees and strawberries and raspberries and rhubarb, and to make jellies and jams. And my mom made everything from scratch. I remember one time she came over and I was making my kids breakfast, and I took out the box of pancake mix, and she looked at me, "What are you making that out of a box for? Here, you will make it from scratch." And ever since then, I just, like I say, I guess I'll make it from scratch, Mom. Anyway, that's the way it was back then. That's what it needs to go back to. Okay, with all this job loss and stuff and the food situation, people need to do stuff that's going to make them independent from the system. Completely. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen when we go with digital ID and digital currency. That's going to be a bad time. I know what I'm doing. I'm headed to the mountains. I'm going to go live like that. And actually this summer, spring and summer, I'm going to go find this place out in the mountains, out in the middle of nowhere, where Bigfoot is my neighbor, and I never have to worry about seeing a Smallfoot again that wants to screw up my life. Yeah, I'd rather deal with Bigfoot than Littlefoot. Okay? It seems like Littlefoot wants nothing to do but interfere with my life, and Bigfoot wants nothing to do except to stay the hell away from me. Anyway. I got an interesting way of looking at things, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to play the game no more. They want to go to digital ID and digital currency and universal basic income. Kiss my ass. Okay? I'm going to eat real food. If I got to sacrifice all these modern conveniences, like I say, I don't have a problem. I'm not going to have a log cabin. I'm going to have a dugout. I can make a heck of a lot nicer dugout in 6 months than I can a log cabin, and it'll be climate controlled. But I don't have a problem sitting by lantern light in my chair reading a Western book. A simple life isn't going to bother me at all. Colonial days, at least nobody's going to be messing in our business. I'm willing to give up this modern world to be free. This society that has turned into, God, a shit show. Can you, like, all these layoffs happen? A man's been working at his job for 25 years, or let's say 15 years. His kids are teenagers, money's tight because they haven't made it to the time when the kids are gone, and all of a sudden you have money up the yin yang. And he's got to sit there and somehow deal with losing his job and going through the holidays, knowing that there's really no other jobs to get, especially if you've been at a job and you're like 40 years old. It's hard to compete against a younger person, okay? And with all these H-1B visa workers, I'm in agriculture. I know how hard it is for an American white guy to get a job in agriculture these days. It's extremely hard. I've dealt with it. I'm done with dealing with it. So I opened up a tree business again, and I'll do my trees a couple times a month. Anyway. But how are they going to get a job? Trump wants to take these people off government entitlements. Good idea. Maybe we should do it in a slower process where we increment them into work. But see, they don't have no entry-level jobs to go to anymore because Americans aren't capable, so we need to bring all these Indians over here. And Chinese. And then all of them going to our school, they're going to be competing for jobs in America, that American students that are going, sitting right next to them in school. The thing is, all you kids in school right now, sitting next to that foreign student, when you graduate out of with the same degree, that foreign student is going to have more of an advantage of getting a job than you are. Okay? Just the way it is. Maybe if our college kids start getting upset about that and start burning campuses down because of that, maybe it'll change. Are you Woody Harrelson? Hey, what movie did you like Woody Harrelson in the best? I mean, there was a lot of them, but I mean, he wasn't in it. But 2012, even that short time he was in there. Anyway, no, I'm not Woody Harrelson. But much more wiser than you. And if I wasn't for them old folks, you wouldn't be here. Okay, whatever. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Everybody. And guess what? I don't have to agree with your opinion. You don't have to agree with mine. That's the thing about America. We're free. Free to choose. So anyway, but yeah, our food supply, they've been poisoning us for a long time. I mean, I haven't ate at McDonald's for many, many years, and I watched how McDonald's food is made. Whew! I hope they weren't making it that way back then. Bro, everything was better back then. Yeah. I mean, look it. You listen to a music radio show on the weekend. It's from the 70s, 80s, and maybe early 90s. I mean, I don't ever remember listening to Casey Kasem, Top 40. Anyway, we never listened to big band music in the 80s. And we're still watching 80s movies. Heck, the only so-called good movies they can come out with that suck are remakes of movies from the 80s and stuff. 80s was just an unbelievable decade to grow up in. Unbelievable. I graduated in 86. Went to the Marine Corps 3 days later, but anyway, incredible decade to grow up in. Where before cell phones, when us kids went out, we didn't have no way our parents could track us. And the last thing we did is told on ourselves when we did something stupid. It's not like we were filming ourselves. Well, I don't even know what they had back then. I guess a camera. But we weren't taking pictures of ourselves doing stupid stuff. Anyway, the food, the weed, the drugs, the movies, the strength in electronics and appliance, the life. The thing is, back then, nobody cared what your political beliefs were. At least not in these small towns. Nobody cared. Just a totally everything that's going on nowadays would have started World War III back in the 1980s or 70s. Would have started World War III hands down. I mean, Russia taking American-made missiles as hits out of Ukraine. That would have started World War III. But see, we all knew that. Back then, yeah, we lived under the threat of maybe we might get nuked, but our leaders of our countries didn't go out of their way to piss off the other country, trying to sit there and play a game of nuclear chicken with them. And like I say, everything was just better. Less stress. More opportunity. A lot less debt. That's one thing too. Everybody's so stressed out. Everybody's so much in debt. They figured in the 80s when they decided to move all the jobs out of America and turned us in. Hey, J99, they decided to turn us into a consumer society. That was their plan. And they had to put us in debt. I always say a poor man shouldn't go in debt. On the ranch, I was talking to the owner and I said that, and he goes, a rich man shouldn't either. I said, well, if it keeps giving me a job, that's just fine if you have to. But anyway, he agreed that people shouldn't go in debt. No, it's not like in business, almost you got to go in debt. I mean, to make money, you got to spend money. To make big money, you got to spend sometimes big money. Hey, J99, what did you think of me getting my channel back and all those shorts I've been putting on? I tell you what, that's why I had Lone Wolf Wild Kingdom, which I still haven't reinstated that channel, which I don't know why. All I ever did was put wildlife videos on there. Never did anything political on that. But yeah, I was surrounded by Wild Kingdom. It was crazy. It was crazy. That's my bug out location. I'm gonna have a couple. My cabin and my place in the mountains will be one, but up there, not people, food everywhere. Oh, I still got plenty of shorts to put out. If you haven't checked them out, like I say, Lone Wolf Prepper 6933. I'm glad you got it back. Yeah, after a year. So they must be not as stringent, or their community guidelines must have changed or something. I don't know. Anyway, I was pretty hard on all the Democrats back then, but now I'm hard on both of them, all right. Anyway, like I say, if you watch that video I put out, that I put on that channel 2 days after the election, like I said, I feel like I got kicked in the gut and the air knocked right the hell out of me. Why'd they take it away if I got 3 strikes? Because I was not saying stuff they agreed with. They said I broke community guidelines because I was talking about the game of Simon Says. I call it the game of Simon Says, which they called the pandemic. Okay, I studied the 1917-1918 Spanish flu pandemic. I studied that back in the mid-90s. Okay, that's why I knew this wasn't no pandemic. Okay, the town I was in, the cemetery never grew. There wasn't a line at the hospital. But anyway, I was talking about that, and on the election. Say I have a lot of thoughts of the day. Why am I on YouTube? Because this is, if you want to look at one of my videos I put out today, I did it last year or over a year ago from my other channel. But what I am willing to do. What I am willing to do because of what I won't do, okay? Anyway, I've been pretty stern on that. And this is censorship in this country. We can't have this, people. In order to fix our problems, we can't be shutting people up that disagree with us. If they're crazy and we all mutually agree they're crazy, then they get put on the sideline. But they still have the right to talk. But it's intelligent people that are compassionate and realize what country we live in. We need to get together, people. We need to stop spreading all this hate that they're trying to kick up. Anyway. ASEAN is a powerful financial institute, which most people don't know what it is. I don't know what it is either. I'm not a big fan of money. Okay, all these people that sit there, like I say, money is all their power and authority and control. When it's worth nothing, then they lose everything now, don't they? You can be in your bunker all by yourself, with your close friends or whatever, your associates, but you still don't have no power or control. You're still locked in a coffin in the ground. Anyway. But yeah, that's why it got canceled. Hell, I got demonetized on that channel before I could even get monetized on it. I was only halfway to monetization and they already demonetized that channel. But I'm saying, YouTube stopped that, but YouTube did admit that they conspired with the Biden administration to shadow ban and cancel channels and stuff. And the thing about it, what hurts some people had businesses on YouTube. Okay? And because they were saying something that all of a sudden they had been saying for a few years, and their channel was growing, now they got their channel canceled because they said the same damn thing. If all these rich people are so thin-skinned, how powerful are they? Do you think they are? If a little guy like me on YouTube has got to be canceled because of what he's saying against them. If they were all powerful, they should be able to shrug me off. It's not like I let a beta male bother me, no matter what they say. If they try to do something, well, then that's a different story. Every man's got to protect himself. But, they just got to silence you, which even more tells you you're telling the truth. But then we all live it, don't we? And all of a sudden, all these people that are getting laid off, it's the holidays, for crying out loud. Like I say, these companies don't care. These big companies don't care. How long you been there, how much money you made the company, how much you dedicate your life to the company. If they can save a quarter by getting rid of you, you're gone. Businesses didn't used to be that way. We had a bunch of small businesses that employed a lot of people that made a lot of product in this country. But all those businesses got closed down. Like the small town I grew up in. We had a air compressor manufacturing company and a company that made bricks. Those were the two big industries besides farming. They both got closed down. How the kids supposed to stay in these small towns when there's no opportunity in these small towns to keep them there? Anyway, but businesses back then, before they started shipping all our jobs out and making it cheaper overseas, so they couldn't sell anything because people bought the cheap stuff. And these companies had to go under. They felt bad for their employees when they went under. Not because of a decision they made, which collapsed their business that had been running for 40 or 50 years. No, not that. Or the brick company, which had been running for well over 100. It wasn't their deal. They kept running their business the same way that was profitable for years. It's the politicians that made their policies that caused them to go bankrupt. Like the short I put out, do you think any politician ever makes a New Year's resolution to say, I'm going to use my ability and authority to make sure that American citizen has a better life this year? Name me one politician that says that. Makes that New Year's resolution. We all know none of them do. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, really? We're 700,000, and in 5 years you're worth 25 million. Make sure you gotta stay long enough to get that golden retirement parachute from the taxpayer. So tell me, how does her income go up 35-fold in 5 years, and she don't have the IRS up her ass? How? To me, that's just another Washingtonian good fucking riddance. You know, you get rid of the big money in D.C., make lobbying illegal. Okay, why should you have you vote for this guy in, right? And the second he gets in the halls of Congress, he's got some lobbyists flashing thousands of dollars in their fucking face. Okay? Maybe we need to start electing humble people that, you know, just get rid of the big money. Lobbyists shouldn't be allowed. Okay, this is retarded. These people get rich, beyond rich. Tell me, if you were making $100,000 5 years ago, are you all of a sudden making $3.5 million? This is the normal congressperson with a retirement parachute, golden parachute. Anyway, I'm sick of it. But all these people, well, they got cash, money. When we become a third world country overnight, when we are no longer the world reserve currency, and all this money that we printed, we now realizes it's monopoly money, and we can't print our way out of it, and nobody wants dollar bills, including American citizens. Yep. You guys are going to find out what a third world country is. I've seen a few of them with my own eyes. I've seen the starving children with my own eyes. I've been in restaurants with dirt floors with waiters working barefoot. Probably got served dog for all I know. I just don't think the average American's prepared for such a life. Oh, it could never happen here. Okay. The only reason it doesn't happen here, hasn't happened yet, because we're the world reserve currency and our government just keeps printing money. Like I say, when those days are over, when we can't quantitative ease anymore, when we can't give banks $120 billion in a couple days anymore so they stay solvent, when we can't sit there and keep sticking money into the stock market to keep that propped up. Yep. Anyway, this is the world we live in, folks. And then they're trying to shove poison down our throat. So my suggestions are, get debt free. I live a debt free life. I'm lucky. I refuse to go into debt. I mean, I don't even have a credit card or a car or nothing payment. Nothing. No debt to a financial institution or bank whatsoever. The freedom you have from that is incredible. I'll just say that. So get you to work on getting out of debt. You know, if you don't need it and you don't own it, if you got a security interest signature on there, sell it. Get what you can for it. All these people that sit there and are paying $800 to $1,000 car payments with a $300 or $400 insurance payment, so about $1,200 a month, right? They're paying just to look at their car. Okay? If they saved up for 6 months, yeah, you know what kind of used car you can get for $7,000? A real nice one. You know, if you don't know nothing about mechanicing and stuff, that's your problem. But you can get a real nice one. Heck, I buy $1,200 cars off Marketplace and stuff. And I get them to last 5 years. 5 years. And they don't cost me a dime. Some I even get to last longer. When they start nickel and diming me, I mean, I can fix all this stuff myself. I'm not going to own this new shit. But then I get rid of them and I buy another one. And think of all that money I'm saving myself. Instead of giving a bank $1,000 a month, an insurance company $300 a month, I get a $30 a month insurance payment with no car payment. You can't always want us to keep up with the Joneses. Nicer isn't better. You need to go with what works. Okay? And if somebody wants to laugh at you because you downsized or went, a lower level of quality because that's what works for you, that's the smart thing to do. Staying broke as shit and trying to maintain that social level, that's a retarded thing to do. You can always get that, climb up again. But if you sit there and are buried, you can't. Come down gradually, walk in the hole so you can get to a point where you can start bringing yourself back out. Anyway, living without a lot of stuff is not hard. Back when I was a kid, we were just outside having fun. Yeah, we go to the bowling alley, to the arcade, and throw some quarters into a machine, but we're $5 lasted you all night, Friday night. Oh, like I say, get back to the way things were. Yep. Things used to be they were a lot better when things were a lot simpler. Okay, everybody kind of minded their own business. By the way, crazy times, people, crazy times. It's just going to get worse. Like I say, now we got the military in the streets. You know how that's just become, people don't even talk about it no more. We Americans become so desensitized, so quick over stuff, and I don't understand it. That's all I see every day is the government getting, enclosing more and more on everybody, encroaching more and more on everybody, trying to sit there and regulate every little part of our lives. And like I say, when they get to digital currency, digital ID, and universal basic income, I don't care if the Constitution they say still exists. All that stuff's against the Constitution. All of it. Every last bit. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Like I say, if you'd like to support the channel, please hit the subscribe, the thumbs up, and the bell notification. Help the channel grow because they don't want the truth getting out. They don't want, I've seen videos of the younger generation, the millennials and stuff that are really struggling. My kids are part of that. They're really struggling. They're working harder, longer hours. They're making more money, and they still have less all the time. And they get mad at us Gen X's and stuff. How about we all get together and we get back to the days where things were a little bit more normal? It's going to take people of all ages to get us there. Now they got us fighting between generations. The younger generation used to respect the older generation. Whether you liked them or not, you didn't lip off to them. If they were a grumpy old man, you let them be a grumpy old man. You respected your elders. Okay? That don't happen no more. They blame us for their situation. All Americans are to blame. And every day you allow it to continue on and you do nothing about it and you still become a cog in that machine that keeps destroying you and your neighbor, then don't bitch about it. Okay? The more cogs we take out of the machine, eventually it's going to break down. Like I say, all we got to do is band together and stop giving our government money. Whether they're going to arrest 150 million of us. Anyway, but Americans never bond together because the government, it's a Trump problem. It's going to come out, give everybody $2,000 But Trump spends more than that on a dinner. He's going to sit there and give the serfs $2,000. Can anybody say, let them eat cake and like it? I don't understand why I'm the only one that sees it that way. To a man, that $2,000, he'd wipe his ass with it. And then these people, American citizens, oh, I'm hurting someone money. Can I have that money that's full of your shit? I hate money. When I was in the Marine Corps and traveled the world, I saw what us having money and being the richest country in the world, what it did. And I despise money now because of it. But anyway, I'd rather have skills, because when everything goes crazy, the people that have the skills are going to be the ones that have all the gold and respect of everybody. A teacher who can actually teach something besides gender theory, a teacher that knows something about mechanics and stuff like that, building houses, food, shelter, and water. Okay? Those are going to be the main people. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. And I'll be going live again tomorrow night. Now that I got my other channel started up, I think I'm going to do my Lone Wolf Prepper live stream in the morning. And that's going to be different. That's just going to be a prepping channel. That used to be my political channel too, but that's just going to be my prepping channel now. So anyway, but you hiding stuff, J99? Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know why we just as human beings nowadays can't get along. Like here on YouTube, if you don't like what I have to say, do you got to sit there and continuously say nasty comments? Just change the channel. Believe me, you'll find somebody on YouTube or social media that you agree with. You're not forced to stay here and listen. But I think some of these people are paid by these platforms to do it. I mean, they obviously don't know how thick-skinned a Marine is. I mean, do you think these words are going to hurt me? I mean, if you want to come on social media and put some stuff in the comments to make yourself look like a complete fool, I'll people would say, well, you sit there with the camera in your face and act like a complete fool. Hey, to each his own. But I'm not sitting there trying to pick a fight here. Okay? Pick a fight in the chat or with the creator. It's like, I want to have a conversation like I'm having in my house right now, sitting in my house, and everybody is sitting here in my house listening to me. You think I'm going to allow somebody to come in through my door, and start ranting and raving and being an absolute retard and lunatic? No, grab you by the scruff of the neck and your belt, throw you right out the fucking door. We need to have intelligent adult conversations about what's going on. Solutions to our problems. Okay? Anyway, this is the world we live in, people. This is the world we live in. People don't want to be nice to people. Like I say, a lot just with the vaccines they got going on. I just don't understand how all of a sudden the human race has gotten so unhealthy that they have to go to the doctor and get 1 million shots and then to see if they are sick. Go to the doctor to see if you're sick. What do you think the doctor's going to tell you? He'll give you a placebo, charge you $100 a pill for it, and make it sound like he's curing your cancer. Anyway, and people fall for it. Okay. In Minnesota, I used to say I could bag 2 bags of manure out of the same pile and put them on put one on there saying this is high, super duper, manure, and sell it for $20 more for a bag than I'd sell this $10 bag for. I mean, these people, okay, you've seen it at these convenience stores and And Walmart has it too, and grocery stores, where they have this little bundle of wood for $7. My God, I cut trees down. I couldn't even do that because I would feel so guilty. Heck, I'd sit there and have, you know, a big bunch of wood for, $2. Somewhere you could use for a couple nights for camping instead of sitting there paying $70 a night just to sit there and keep the campfire lit. People complain about $3 gas. I believe it's bad, but then they'll go sit there and go into the convenience store and pay what's equivalent to $8 a gallon for their water. Anyway, I like it here. I can turn on my faucet and drink the water right out of the tap with no filtering and nothing because it comes right out of the Ogallala aquifer. Like I say, I live in an area that's surrounded by food, clean water, and not a lot of people. Couldn't be better. Anyway, I've been on here for an hour. I hope everybody had a great time. Like I say, if you want to support that channel, hit that thumbs up, that subscribe, and the bell notification. Check out my other content. You may like it. Like I said, I put out a lot of shorts these last couple days from my old channel. I lived in heaven. The only thing about it, why I had to leave, is because after over 2 years of never having a day off, pretty much, and I had to deal with the boss where I started getting time off, and the kids said no. But I mean, the boss was like 7 years older than me, and the kids were, they were adult children and stuff. But, I was on salary, so I needed to work 7 days a week. And heck, you got people out there on government entitlements that say, I can't work. The thing is, in agriculture, well, you had your times on ranches, haying time, calving time. Those are your heavy times. In farming, it's planting and harvest time. But then the rest of it, unless it's the weather sucks or something, it should be 70, 80-hour weeks every week. With these H-1B visa workers making twice as much as we were. Everybody says they don't get paid as much. Well, the way it works in agriculture is they have to get, the Department of Agriculture determines what their hourly wage is, and the people that hire them have to pay that wage. Hourly wage. And then at the end of they're working for that person, that employer gets half that money back that they paid in salary to that H-1B visa worker. So if they paid that H-1B visa worker $65,000 a year and they got $32,000, they got half of that back, they may start out an American worker at $36,000 a year. You see how that crock works? Shit. Anyway, bet you we'll never have no H-1B visa politicians, will we? Anyway, just another crock of shit. Like I say, you can go on forever. See, there's stuff is starting to get bad. I mean, I can't wait to see what Black Friday looks like. Nobody's got any money, people. A lot of things are going to go broke. Like I say, there is not enough money no more. There's not enough. The American consumer does not have any more money left. And I don't care what they say. If you're putting it on a credit card, robbing Peter to pay Paul, having one business pay another business for what you bought, and you'll pay it over time. Okay, whatever. But I guess debt is an asset. Anyway, hope everybody enjoyed the live stream. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Don't know what I'm going to discuss. Hard to say in today's world. Heck, we may be at war with Venezuela tomorrow. They're dropping leaflets over Venezuela telling the people to uprise and get rid of the government. What would they do if Russia did that in the United States? When, I don't know, let's say 30, 40% of the population believes it. Anyway, I just love how the United States can do whatever they want. And dropping leaflets before a battle, it's no big deal. I mean, it happens through many wars. Since World War II, they did a lot of that, dropping leaflets before the war. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, wasn't our government, though, didn't our Biden or who was ever in office when Maduro came to office recognize his government? I think we did, didn't we? And now we're asking the people to overthrow it. Like I say, we need to worry about. Anyway, we got a lot of overthrowing we need to do in this part of the country. So anyway, I mean this part of the world. So anyway, everybody have a great night. I appreciate you being here. Like I say, check out my other content on my channel. You'll probably like it. You know, wildlife can be the funniest things sometimes. Hey, J99, what'd you think of that sugar? I tell you what, you were out there and the wildlife got used to you. You were just part of their surroundings. They didn't even mind you no more. I mean, one time we were unloading DDG from the semi, and all of a sudden these two does kicked themselves up and start fighting with each other. You know how they kick themselves, get up on their back legs and start kicking themselves with the front legs? 5 feet away from us. I look over at the truck driver. I go, I've never seen that before. He goes, me neither. Kind of, I don't like it being that close. Anyway, it's nice when you can commune with nature like that. Oh my God, I have the same wall carpet. It's not a carpet. It's well, I guess you call it a tapestry. I don't know, a wall carpet. Yeah, I guess that's a good word for it. But it's beautiful, isn't it? That is where I will retire, except if stuff gets bad. Well, no, that's where I'm going to retire. I'm just going to have a dugout instead of a cabin. But if I got a bug out before I have that done, then I'm going to go to where I took all those videos. Like I say, no people, lots of food, water squirts out of the ground, everything you need. So, anyway, everybody have a great evening, and I will see you guys again tomorrow night. This is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out of here.